Hello there, welcome to Unenlightened. I am Austin, the developer of Everbound, and I do have some updates for you this week, despite the fact that I'm a little bit behind. Let's get into it so that I can get back to playing Tears of the Kingdom, which is research. Okay? It's research. Alright, let's do this. So I was kind of all over the map this week. I did some stuff with the sculpture, I did some stuff with the NPC programming, so today's kind of going to be a little bit of a general update video. First thing we're going to talk about is the art stuff. So, I've made some good progress on the Leviathan. It's not done yet because I decided to go ahead and do what I talked about in the end of the last Leviathan video, where I said I was going to chop the head off, make that a separate model, and then make a model for a body section and duplicate that down the line. And the head is done, so I can show you that, which is looking really good. It's got some extra spikies on it, it's got more flanges, just a little more detail. Looks a little bit meaner, looks a little bit more interesting to look at. And I also tightened up some of the details. A lot of that might get lost and be replaced with, like, you know, normal mapping and stuff like that. But for right now, I'm really happy with the way it looks. And it's nice for, like, a 3D printed model for me to look at and for making art, like concept art and stickers and stuff like that to help promote the game. So Leviathan's looking pretty good. As soon as I have that body section done, I can just copy it down the line. It'll be pretty easy to pose and shape, and I'll have tons of art to show you of that finished project. I also started work on the Fire Dragon this week, and that means basically I have a body section. I haven't started the head yet. I do know exactly what it's going to look like, but I wanted the right body first. The times that I've tried to make this in the past, I made real-life sculptures, I made drawings, and I wanted it to look kind of cat-like, but also like beefy and muscular. I want this big, proud creature that when you discover the emaciated version of it, which is frequently present in the story for lore reasons, it's a little more devastating. So we're building the beefy, muscular, healthy one right now, which is why you have this, as Corey in the Twitch chat put it, baseball player of a figure for the current version of the dragon, and then I'll be adding the head probably next week. So, you know, look out for that on the Twitch stream. Both of those are looking pretty good. I have a couple of other dragon designs that I've done over the last couple years while I was just mulling over this project that I'd like to revisit and revamp with kind of the new outlook that I have on this story. So that'll be coming up over the next couple of weeks, most likely. Another thing that I did, which is sloppy but gave me the information I needed, I did a concept sketch basically for the armor for Talia, who is a pretty big character in the story, not a very good person at all. She is the kind of like demagogue empress of the central island on Everbound's map. And she worships the Leviathan. So I designed her armor around that. I'm going to be working on her 3D model pretty soon as well, although I'll likely be doing that off stream and just giving updates in videos, so keep your eyes out for that as well. So with that covered, I want to move on to the NPC coding, which has gotten a lot of fixes just in the last week or so in order to resolve some of the main problems that we were having. So you might recall that I mentioned in the last video there were issues with the NPCs losing track or getting poor directionality if they were either coming at the obstacle from a weird angle or if they were otherwise just they'd been to one before and they hit another one, or, you know, all sorts of edge cases were causing things to break down. I wasn't sure if it was caused by errors in my reset for the edge detection method. I wasn't sure. It might have been caused by, just like I said, the weird angles. What it turned out to be was kind of a combination of both. I did revamp the way that I was resetting all of my variables just for organization's sake and to clarify things for myself. But what I did as well was I changed the math that was deciding where to move the new target to. So it's a little bit easier to see now because I added gizmos, which visualize a lot of what's happening in the scene. And you'll notice a couple of things. For starters, we now leave breadcrumbs behind the NPC as it moves. It only leaves 5 of them behind it at a time just to save resources. And in the actual game world, those will be invisible. But for the purposes of testing and debugging, I have them visualized. Basically what those do is they allow it to stop from doubling back on itself. I'll explain why that's an issue in a moment. But what you will also notice is that the NPC is now properly and consistently drawing its target point straight out from the end of the obstacle that it's hitting. And it's doing that by using one important new piece of information. What it's doing is it's checking the normal of the face that it hits as soon as it's about to do edge detection. So when it hits an obstacle, it sees that face, and then the raycast is able to detect the normal of that face. And then we take that, plus a little bit of math, and that is now how we calculate where our new edge is. So we take the point that the edge detection sweep finds, and that's how we know where the edge is. And previously, we were using the NPC's facing direction to help us calculate where that should land, to give us a little bit of breathing room to actually get around the obstacle. And the issue that created was if the NPC was approaching from like a weird angle, it would end up drawing that point at a weird angle, which could put it behind the obstacle or too far away or not far away enough. And then when things got corrected, or if it never even makes it to its temporary target for navigating around the obstacle, the NPC would just end up getting stuck. So now it's actually just using the normal value from the face that it contacts when it detects an edge in order to decide where that point should be moved to. That's kind of its anchor direction to figure that calculation out. And that's been working a lot better. Now, the other thing, as I already mentioned, is the breadcrumbs. And those helped solve a problem that I knew from the beginning was going to be in there, which is, as you can see here, there's an obstacle, or the target is inside of a U-shaped barrier of obstacles. And the way that I had it running before, the NPC would approach that corner, and then it would try to turn in and find the obstacle, and it would hit a face, and then it would detect the nearest edge. It would go to that retargeted point, and then when it reached that retargeted point, it would start turning toward the obstacle again. And when it does that, it then looks at the new side, tries to find the nearest edge, but the problem is the nearest edge is the one that it just crossed over. So it ended up causing the NPC to just kind of bounce back and forth around one corner of the U-shaped obstacle and never actually make any forward progress. So what we are doing now is we're leaving those breadcrumbs behind us. And every time it's checking for the best edge for it to approach, it will throw out the edge that brings it closer to its breadcrumbs. That way it has a tendency to not backtrack. I haven't built this additional feature into it yet, but what I'm going to have it do is if it finds itself having to just go in a circle, basically, or if it finds no points whatsoever, everything is too close to the breadcrumbs, then it will default to its regular programming and hopefully get itself out of that jam. And that's part of the reason why there are only 5 points, is I'm planning ahead for that, and I want to make sure that there aren't so many points behind it that if it has to make a U-turn or do something weird like that, it's going to get stuck because it'll come across its own breadcrumb trail. I also want to use that breadcrumb concept for memorizing a space that an NPC frequents a lot, but that's a whole other kettle of fish we're going to get to later. But I'm very excited with where this is at right now. The NPC is successfully getting around U-shaped obstacles. It's finding its way through narrow navigations inside of just layered obstacles. It doesn't seem to be losing track of where it's at. If it has multiple subsequent obstacles to get to, you can see, because of the gizmos, those little circles that are popping up each time it navigates, that its correction points are in the exact right place every time. I think there's probably still a flaw in it, but right now it seems to be working really, really well. So I'll keep you posted on that, but honestly, the next thing we will likely be talking about is starting to program some of the basic memory functionality into these NPCs to make them feel a little more lifelike. So I'm looking forward to showing you all of that. But I think that's going to be it for today. It's going to be a quick video today just because I covered a lot of things this week, but I only made small incremental progress with all of those. And I really need to figure out what's going on with my computer. So I'm going to be working on that today. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. It has been a blast as always. Thank you to the patrons, Jakob, Melody, and Hermit. Y'all are fantastic, and you make my life better. If you want to support this channel, or the project, or just if you just like me, you can hop over to the Patreon and support over there. But the biggest thing you can do is share this video, tell your friends what I'm working on. It's going to be a cool game, and I can only make it with your support. So thank you again for hanging out. It has indeed been a blast, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.